Nino is not very happy after that trial yesterday.
Hello there, Nino. How are you?
Hey, you called me yesterday, but it was kind of back-to-back meetings for me.
Hey, no worries, no worries.
Yeah.
I was going to make the point. I says, looking at your platform, nice of you to take some of my points and put it as your platform, Mr. Chavez.
Which ones?
The weapons license aspects to it.
All that stuff was written well before the state did anything.
Boy.
Yeah, so website's like 2 weeks old. Angel brought up something very similar, I think, about the transparency thing, and I was very confused until afterwards. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's been up there for 2 weeks.
Well, you know, the negligent ownership of a firearm is will not and has, well, that was clarified on the phone between you and I like a week and a half ago. That is not indefinite. That will not be indefinite. The negligent ownership of a firearm as an indefinite, the charge of that.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's up there. Listen, it's politics, right? Wrote it once, I'm like, fuck it, I'm not updating the shit.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, definite wants on a thing.
It shouldn't be. Yeah. Yeah. We resolved that with you, me, and Rika, no?
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of. It was more that there was given bad information from one of the previous judges, and it just needed to be clarified. And I said, no, this is not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was. There's a lot of this confusion, and it's kind of unfortunate, to be honest. It's some of the PD's in a very bad state. I'm going to be honest, Bailey. I don't know what the fuck to do.
Well, I was just talking with Sherry here for a second. Is that, there's interesting individuals, there's personalities there, but it's not truly someone that is empowering or a leader with them. And
I agree.
I'll say is there's not many individuals that are out there that have the ability to rally people, to fight for them, and to also, not show some of the scars when they do happen. And I have not seen anyone at this time that has a strong personality that will actually decide that they want to do things and take the initiative to do it. Most are just, unfortunately, scared to do that. I do say, there's as faults as he did have, but Fred was very good at that and would fight for his people as much as they would. I think that was a lot of morale there. Now, he had his own issues on top of it, but, personality rallies people around them, makes them feel wanted.
Agreed. He's someone I contemplated. Unfortunately, he's got an extremely tarnished past.
Everybody has tarnished past them, Mr. Chavez. We all have skeletons in our closet. I'm sure everybody does. I do. I'm sure you do.
Shit. Don't die. Yeah, but I'm also not applying to be running a department,
By technicality, you'd have the head of it.
Yeah, no, Pred is someone I've considered, but it's unreasonable, really.
Fair enough. But anyway, that's why I think personally. I mean, there's a lot of other things that you hear on top of it, but I do think that there's a need for a strong leadership with them.
Yeah, there really is. I think the more and more I learn about the police department, the more I have come to the realization that for too long, I think they've been given like the opposite of police-like guidance. And I think, I think at the end of the day, right, I'm probably going to end up applying policy and then seeing how they adhere to that before jumping to any conclusions.
I'll think about it just for a second. So, I have a conversation. I think I might have told you this. I have a conversation with someone, and it's involving that whole, charges being indefinite.
Yeah.
Instead of actually, having the conversation, they decide not to answer the phone call after we had it and actually, maybe make a change with it. And instead, they want to go ahead and send out blast email saying, well, we're not all on the same page. Well, when I attempt to get all on the same page with y'all and actually clarify the understandings you have, you just want to send it off into an email. That's
Wait,
not
what do
how
you
I
mean?
work.
What happened?
Oh, the indefinite warrant thing. The one that you were asking me about.
Yeah.
This, remember, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, you're like, oh, well, I have a client of mine I need you to look into. There's an indefinite warrant. So I once said, all right, well, let me do some research.
Yeah.
Went back with all the judges, said, all right, who authorized these to be indefinite? I said, per the Constitution, there's statute of limitations 30 days. These cannot be indefinite. And that was agreed upon with probably about 4 or 5 of the judges at the time. And in the meantime, I got back to the individual and said, no, we are not doing indefinite because there was an announcement that said this is indefinite. I said, this is not true. You should not be doing this. Do not approve them. Because they were asking for indefinite. I said, no.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to work that out, short conversation, yes, I agree, I understand, yep, of course. All right, well, got to do something in terms of actually putting it together, called them back, nope, hung up. Next thing I see is an email.
Wait, what?
Uh-huh. An email that went out between the shared communication between the PD, DOC, which doesn't exist, and DOJ.
By who? Who wrote it?
That same person. I'm not naming names with that. That same person now is speaking with.
Riker?
Nope. Once again, not naming names, but was not them.
Yeah, but Your Honor, listen.
I don't say it.
We're working for the government. There ain't like this is with all the respect. I don't name names either, but these are official email chains, and I don't think there's any reason to hide shit. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Otherwise,
it's just more that these things exist instead of having conversations and actually trying to work towards a better future with it.
Yeah.
It is, how do I say this? PD likes to operate in black and white. I'll fade them out. We operate in the gray.
Yeah,
There's
but they
room
can't,
to go either way.
They cannot be working in black and white.
But that's
Arrests
how they
are not
enjoy
black.
that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. It's never been like this. Look, Bailey, I dealt with a situation, like, my blood pressure is going, like, through the fucking roof. Like, realizing how bad shit is. I'll, like, underline a particular case. Marlo Stanfield, pulled over, traffic infraction. He's identified. He's called Marlo. Hey, Marlo, how you doing? Marlo produces a license, says Marlo Stanfield. The individual recognizes his voice as Marlo Stanfield. Marlo is wearing a mask. There's a dispute over the mask, right? Whether to take it off. I don't know how it went, that dispute. But ultimately, the officer gave him a lawful order to step out of the vehicle and then placed him under arrest for disobeying a lawful order. Up until then, you know, it's within the realm of reason, right? But instead of taking the mask off, Marlo with the mask is now transported to Mission Row PD. And then fingerprinted, and only then has his mask removed. I get called down to speak with him, and I ask him, why didn't you take the mask off right there? And he said, I don't have to. I'm like, okay, then you've thrown away any reason as to why you asked him to lawfully remove the mask to begin with. And secondly, if the guy steps out of the vehicle, right, and complies with being put into cuffs and brought down, don't you think that's enough de-escalation and maybe a cause for confusion over the mask to begin with? That why are you going to go throw him into jail now? And it's just, well, that's the law. The fucking basic tenets of law enforcement have been thrown out the fucking window. It's about the
reasonable
arrest.
articulation.
Yes. But even beyond articulation, it's assessing the situation as a whole. It's ignoring the fact that these kind of forms of arrests and not trying to find alternative paths is what leads to people feeling as though they need to flee under every circumstance. And then every small situation becomes a big situation, big situations of which there's not enough police officers to handle. But it's like none of that fucking matters. So
I understand that. You wonder, here's another example for you, Mr. Chavez. You know the whole July 3rd thing, right?
Yep, I do.
Yeah. You and I talked that day.
Mm-hmm.
I was in MRPD at 311. I said, "Are you aware of what is happening or about to happen?" Gatsby had called me and said, "Stay safe. They're hunting any member of the DOJ. They're trying to kill y'all."
Yep.
So I'm in MRPD at 311. Are y'all aware this is actually happening? Well, yes. First officer calls me and says, "Well, we don't really have a ton of units down there." I said, "Well, do you have like a presence there? Do you have any sort of protection? Do you have whatever?"
Oh my
Because
God,
I mean,
he's
that's
saying
number one,
what I
de-escalation.
did.
Presence, right? Just being there in general. No, we don't have enough units to do so. All right, fair enough. Well, whichever you do. You want a security detail? Do you want an escort? I said, no, I'm better off probably protecting myself and just, staying ahead of harm's way. I disguised myself, put on I think you saw me at that building.
Yep.
Jacket, black denim jacket, whatever. Well, anyway, about 3 minutes after I hang up that phone call, another one calls me. I think it was a sergeant. I don't remember the name. They go, "Yeah, we have like 22 units around. We have more than enough." One says we don't. The other one says we do. Tell me, why is there confusion with this?
Bailey, they killed DeMarco. The police took his keys and cut him loose for not cooperating after he leaked all the information about the gang he was co-leading. And they didn't even fucking know the chief of police, who was given all the information, didn't know one of his own officers took the guy's safe house key to let him die. And now they're more worried. That whole 3rd of July thing? They were questioning me how I knew anything about it. I'm like, I was on the call with Bailey. He pointed me at the twatter that made it very clear what was happening. And it's like, oh, really? Well, have you been in community? And I'm just like, bruh.
It was actually there. It was listed on Twitter of what was happening.
With a fucking calendar.
Correct.
I was like,
that's
I'm
why
on
I called
the
them. I
phone
said,
with the
"Are you
goddamn justice."
actually there?" Correct. I'm letting them know. I'm 311 everything about this. Everything that I have. There is a threat on my life actively. What are you doing?
Don't even get me started, Bailey, on me bringing up, like, I 311 while watching this happen. I'm like, where's the police presence? And apparently they were planning for an hour in Mission Row PD as to what to do. And my general take is as follows. If my fucking city is getting attacked, right? There's still civilians out there. You sign up to put your life on the fucking line to at least show some level of presence. What, are they going to start hunting every cop down in like a 5-mile radius? At least show that you exist, right? Not every equation needs to have a predictable positive outcome, right? Like, the solution did not need to be in that moment, how do we arrest 60 people? It should have been very simple common sense. You are a police force. Show your presence. At least tell civilians to back away from the building. Create a perimeter. If you need to back out and they come for you, back the fuck out. You don't even need to storm the fucking building. Just show that you're there. But it's it feels like a fucking sports matchup, right? Like they're busy in the fucking title screen picking like who the band and picks are, for their league match.
And us versus them.
That's I brought that up with Barrick yesterday. Ruby and fucking in court, right? They got charged K with criminal use of a firearm without a gun. Like, as if that's like, you know, like I don't even fucking know what to say about that to begin with, but whatever, right? Maybe they want to push for precedence over it. Fine. Sudi, the owner of a fireworks company, goes up there as an expert witness. And she's explaining gunpowder mixtures, all kinds of shit. And the assistant chief of police has the audacity to say, well, of course she's going to say that. She's works for the other side. As far as I'm aware, Sudi's a civilian. How the fuck are you going to say that to somebody? How do you trust the police when the police treat you like shit? And that might seem like a small thing, or it's just a J, but it fucking underlines an inherent issue. That if you treat everyone like the others, don't be surprised when they do the same. The thing is, the other side does not have any fucking rules.
Well, listen, I'm not trying to be Mr. Take a figurative, pull one over on PD by any means, but at the same time, they just have to have this, I don't know the right words to say with this, but more or less a feeling of what they're doing is I don't know. Words that I'm trying to say right now are not exactly coming to me, but there has to be an empowerment with it. They have to feel that they are empowered, and not that it is in a way that is just black and white with it.
Yeah, but that requires a leader that can mold that mentality, right? And it goes back to what you said. You're right. You need someone like Fred leading it. I think like Bones and Cassidy, they seem to be doing a pretty fine job. I've had very little negative experience, I think, with BCSO thus far. I'm glad Andy, she gets mayor, which she probably will, wants to keep them intact, from my understanding. But the LSPD is another fucking is a bit in shambles because they're the leftovers. But unfortunately, when things are rotten at the top, that rot is just gonna, metastasize its way downward. And
well, then also introduced the potential, Marshall program on top of that. There's interest in when something is new, then that continues to evolve, and others want to see what is all the new best thing. And you know what? That might be a new start for them. And that's, I can understand. It's probably why BCSO got a fair amount of individuals with it, and they might feel rejected with it because that's the new thing. And so you introduce the possibility, for example, marshals, which, there may be a few individuals that come from that, but reality is, it's going to be selected and probably not exactly everything that, they want to be, because guess what? It's most likely something that is, very similar. They're still doing a similar job, but come on now.
In regards to the Marshals program, the way I kind of interpreted it was, I imagine you're not going to see Marshals day to day, or is that going to be the case?
Well, it's a non-standard enforcement agency, and I'll put it as this way. I don't think a lot of people understand or realize, but, in the historical perspective, most of the times we've had correctional officers go straight to LSPD or BCSO, PBSO in the past, right? Yeah. This is their way into that. If they, a few will be selected to begin with, probably from the original side of maybe some officers that have had some experience and are interested in investigative stuff. But outside of that, it's not going to be your typical thing. It's more investigative aspects.
Yeah, that's kind of what I imagine it to be. Like it's like a what do you call it? Break the glass unit.
Correct. Somewhat. Somewhat.
Yeah. Well,
There's some break the glass there, but there's not all.
mm,
And those things need to be defined because the break the glass that happened with Max and Siobhan stayed broken. That glass was never repaired.
yeah,
And that
no.
button was never unpressed. And so, if that does happen, there should be very specific guidelines with it as to when and what and how and who decides that.
Yeah. Understandable.
Because the last thing we need is the optics around something that is, well, here's this ultimate power that can exist. Well, no, there has to be some sort of ultimate power check.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I appreciate the call, Bailey. A lot of thinking I got to do, but you know, I tend to observe before significant on the biggest problems. I tend to observe for as long as I can, and you know, I don't like jumping the gun, so I'm sort of mulling the idea of if it's within my powers. Keep this to yourself if you don't mind. I'd like someone else to kind of think on it.
Alrighty.
I'm contemplating that a separate PD gets spun up and built from the ground up and replace the LSPD over a course of 2 months. Because
Interesting.
I think the benefit of which would be it would give enough time for that secondary department to slowly build up on core principles, and then would replace the LSPD wholesale.
Fair enough.
So
Interesting.
Because right now I just think the LSPD is just there to just be on duty, so they can continue being on duty until they're replaced. But
Holy.
yeah,
that is an interesting thought on it.
well, sometimes you gotta start with a clean slate, you know.
Fair enough.
And
Fair enough. I'll keep that to myself then.
All right, Bailey, I appreciate you.
Alrighty. Take care.
You take care.